So Toronto Blue Jays pitcher Anthony Bass on Friday, one day after the right-handed reliever said he didn't think an LGBTQ social media post he shared last month was hateful, was cut from the team. Now, what exactly was the video in question that he shared? The original video posted took directed aim at certain companies saying, here's the reason biblically why I believe Christians have got to be boycotting Target, Bud Light, and any other corporation that's pushing the things that they're pushing. This is evil. This is demonic. We won't stand for it. We're not going to the stores anymore, and we're not going to give you our money. The Toronto Blue Jays manager, coach, said that the cut was performance related. Now, to some degree, this is true, although if you think that the LGBTQ stuff didn't have any role in it, then I've got a bridge to sell you. Look, Clayton Kershaw spoke out about the Dodgers hosting trans and queer sisters that are protesting in against Catholics. He took this as a front. Do you think that there's any possibility that Clayton Kershaw, a surefire Hall of Famer first ballot, is going to be cut by the Los Angeles Dodgers? There's zero chance of this because it is to some degree performance related. Why do you think that Terrell Owens, who I happen to know because we used to play basketball together on a very frequent basis, wasn't cut for a long time? Why wasn't he released by the teams, even though he had all sorts of off-field and on-field locker room problems with other players? It's because he was one of the best wide receivers in the league. And I can tell you for a fact that playing with Terrell as often as we did, the guy's a dick. I mean, I beat him in a 3-point contest, a race to 10, where you shoot, you run back, you take another shot, and it's the race. And I beat him, and he slammed the ball against the wall in disgust that he lost to me. Similarly, in another couple of games, 2 times he punched a buddy of mine in the face for playing too tight defense, not even fouling. But that's all aside of the point. I'm just illustrating the fact that the dude has some issues, but he was kept on once again because he was the best wide receiver in the freaking league. But when he slowed down, when he lost a step, that's when he was gone. See you later, sayonara. And I ask you whether or not this is cancel culture, the fact that Anthony Bass is now gone from the Toronto Blue Jays. And I thought about this because I actually happened to call the Reading, Pennsylvania police after a police officer there arrested a preacher who was shouting or saying God loves you or whatever he was saying to a pride event, and did so almost instantly. And I called and asked for the man to be fired. It's very different when somebody abdicates responsibility for the oath that he took to protect the Constitution and the laws and jurisdictions of his region. When he violates somebody for his First Amendment, I absolutely have the right to say that he's in dereliction of duty and ask him to be fired. It's very different than somebody expressing a point of view that you disagree with and demanding and booing him on the field and demanding that the Blue Jays fire the guy. That is cancel culture. When you have to pledge allegiance to this Maoist authoritarian flag that in Canada, by the way, Justin Trudeau has replaced the Canadian flag outside the Prime Minister's office and replaced it with the Maoist authoritarian one. Because this is what the LGBTQ community has become. They have become authoritarian. It's no longer accept us. Give us the right to be married. Don't harass us when we operate in our lives as we see fit. I'm all for that. You do you. I don't have to agree. You don't have to agree with me. You let me do you. Excuse me, you let me do me, and you do you. That's live and let live attitude, the libertarian, the ethos of liberalism, autonomy, and liberty for the individual to do what they want, so long as it does not negatively affect other people. I don't have to agree with you, but this flag has now become the symbol of a Maoist inquisition, Maoist takeover of the United States, where if you go out of your way, if you burn the flag, if you poop on the flag, as a homeless man in New York did, he was charged with a hate crime. But you can go ahead and burn the American flag publicly and say how much you hate America, but you can't do the same with this other symbol. Now, according to what I know, this protest against LGBTQ should be protected under the First Amendment, but these authoritarian, Maoist, communist district attorneys are going to find a way to turn it into a hate crime if they possibly can and give you the maximum possible sentence. And I'm becoming very wary of this symbol, of this representation, because I don't believe that any longer it represents the pride in being gay. I think that they just want you to bend the knee to them and not say anything as they go ahead and metastasize our society in a cancerous spread of their ideals where they are infecting children. The idea of having drag queen story hour is an anathema. Why? Is this so that the children can start to question and the teachers can answer what it is to be gay? Why does this have to be in schools? Why do 5-year-olds have to learn about this? I have a 5-year-old and I want this as far away from him as possible. There is absolutely no reason to sexualize a 5-year-old. They call it banning books. When Ron DeSantis takes up genderqueer, a story, a novel that when read aloud at a public hearing is immediately silenced because this is being televised live or whatever reason that they give so that others don't have to hear it. That's how pornographic and disgusting are the passages in the book. And they call it banning a book when you're removing it from the school library. This is the way that they frame everything, as hateful, as banning, and it is up to us to stand up to us no matter what the costs. I will not allow that to come to my children. I will protect my children with everything I can from this pornography, from them trying to be indoctrinated into the LGBTQ culture. It's inappropriate for children to learn this stuff. And who else do you think is for this? The medical industry, of course, because who benefits tremendously every time a youngster is put on the conveyor belt towards the trans butchers? Hundreds of thousands of dollars for the surgery, plus all of the drugs that they have to take over a lifetime because these children are confused. And in California, just yesterday or the day before, it was announced that children could be considered child abusers if they don't affirm the transition of their children. What type of people do this? These aren't loving people. This is not love. This is the opposite. You help those who are confused. You give them guidance and counseling, but you don't tell them you can't get a tattoo, smoke a cigarette, drink alcohol, gamble until you're older, but go ahead and start chopping off your genitals right now. Take hormone replacement therapy, take puberty blockers, the same drug Lupron that is given to sex offenders who then become chemically castrated is what they're giving to children. Look, this is what the pride flag is representing now, and is illustrated once again to bring it back to Anthony Bass and him being banned because he dared to stand up to the authoritarian communism who want to take your rights away. You don't have the right, according to them, to oppose their will. If you show support for boycotts of stores because they are selling clothing that you disagree with, meant to indoctrinate youngsters, then you need to be canceled. You need to be fired. I say that every single person has that voice to stand up to these authoritarian fucks, and we must do so. And the pride flag does not represent what it used to. It does not represent, as I stated, leave us alone. Let us run our lives as we choose. It does not represent that. It represents, in fact, something hateful, something demonic that wants total control and power over everybody. And they are unfortunately using many, many gay people who are in the way. And I no longer trust the pride flag. I will not be showing up at any pride events. I don't see that there's anything to be proud of anymore. I understand it when people used to give you a tough time about being gay and saying, give us a break. Yeah, I'll stand with the pride flag when it means that, but not when it means going after and confusing children with sexual deviance. They should not be sexualized at all, and trying to get them on that trans conveyor belt to the butchers that will chop off their genitals as they destroy the American ethos and liberty of the individual to speak out. Our First Amendment is paramount. So I support Anthony Bass, and I also will tell you, don't play basketball with Pharrell Williams. Peace.